Dear students, good afternoon. Welcome to this It's Time to Talk session number 7. The topic is the news. We will wait for a couple of minutes to see if some students show up. Dear students, so if no one has shown up yet, I will start. Okay, I'm going to share the screen with you. I hope you see the screen right now. Well, and let's get started. Well, this is English C1. It's time to talk, session number 11. Topic is the news. My name is Hector Alejandro Lugo, and the date is June 24th, 2023. I belong to Enville. So this is the table of contents. We will start with an introductory exercise, then what's a news story. Then we will be talking about benefits of the media to spread the news. Number 4, writing a news story. And number 5, providing newsworthy stories. And finally, we will finish with the practical exercise. So let's get started. So the introductory exercise is this. So this is what I had planned for you. And the exercise was about this. You were meant to choose a number and there was a question corresponding to that number. So the first one is, what do you think about the phrase, good things come to those who wait? You were supposed to give me an answer to this question. Another one was this one. What is the best news you have ever heard? Then we would be going to number 6. Well, would you like to hear the good news or the bad news first? And then we would go over this one. What do you think about the phrase, the bad news is you don't have to worry. No matter how hard you try, you can't change the best. And then this one. What do you think about the phrase, you have to take the good with the bad? And then, how do you feel when you have to give someone good news? After that, we would go over this. What do you think about the phrase, the bad news is nothing lasts forever? Then, how do you feel when you have to give someone bad news? And there is a phrase that says, convert bad news into good news. How would you do that? And finally, this question, what do you think of the phrase, bad things always come in threes? So this is what we were meant to be doing. And then let's continue. Let's go over the second part. Well, the second part of this, what's a news story? Well, a news story. A news story is a written or recorded or occasionally live article or interview that informs the public about current events, concerns, or ideas. You don't usually write a story, though sometimes local media will use exactly what words you give them. But you provide story ideas to journalists who then flesh out your idea to create a story as it appears. Apologies in personal and professional settings, right? Okay. A news story can be what? Long or short, depending on the news worthiness. Yes. Okay, or interest to people who watch TV, listen to the radio, or read the paper. They also can be written, recorded, live, or taped, depending on the medium you use and the timelines of the story. Hard or full of important facts and news items. Or soft, focusing on the personal, more human side of a news event or situation. An example of a hard news story is an article on the alarming rise of HIV cases in heterosexual women. A soft news or feature article would be a story about a man in a wheelchair overcoming architectural barriers in town as he moves through the city, right? So this is the difference between a hard story and a soft story. Well, let's go over part number 3. What are the benefits of using the media? Look at this. Benefits of using the media to express your own message. So whenever you use the media, in order to express your own message. What is the benefit they provide us? So they can provide cheap, immediate coverage of your issues. So let's talk about television, radio, okay, apps, social media networks or networking. Okay, they can connect you with the largest and most diverse audiences. All type of audiences will be witnessing what you have to say. They give you the possibility of continuous in-depth coverage of your issues as long as you provide stories that sell. News stories add credibility to your work since they are much more widely believed than advertising. They offer a wide variety of strategies to communicate your message. They can provide a fairly comprehensive explanation of your issue or description of your organization and your work. Let's go over the next part. Writing a news story. What are the key elements when you are meant to be writing a news story? So first of all, you have to introduce the structure and format of a news story, including headline, lead, body, and conclusion, right? Headline, lead, body, conclusion. Discuss the inverted pyramid style of writing. Yes, where the most important information is presented first and then it is followed by supporting details. Provide guidelines for clear and concise writing, avoiding biased language, using quotes effectively, and cultural considerations, right? Well, let's see an example of a news story. Well, this is an example of a news story. Climate Change Summit aims to accelerate global action. Let's check this out. Well, let's read it together, and then we are going to identify the parts of it, right? Climate Change Summit aims to accelerate global action. June 23rd, 2023. Byline, John Smith. The New York world leaders and climate activists gathered today at the annual Climate Change Summit with the aim of accelerating global action in combating the pressing issue of climate change. The summit, organized by the United Nations, brings together representatives from over 190 countries to discuss strategies, set goals, and reinforce commitments in the fight against climate change. The summit opened with a passionate and urgent calls for action from world leaders who emphasized the need for immediate and concerted efforts to mitigate the impacts of climate change. United Nations Secretary General Angela Ramirez highlighted the devastating consequences already experienced worldwide and stressed the critical nature of the situation. She urged governments, businesses, and individuals to step up their efforts in reducing greenhouse gas emissions and transitioning towards sustainable practices. A series of panel discussions and workshops took place, focusing on key areas such as renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, and climate adaptation measures. Prominent speakers included climate scientists, policymakers, and representatives from non-governmental organizations. Renewable energy transition. Several countries pledged to enhance their renewable energy infrastructure and set more ambitious targets for renewable energy adoption. The United States announced an initiative to invest $3 billion in clean energy research and development, with a particular focus on advanced solar technologies. China reaffirmed its commitment to becoming carbon neutral by 2060 and outlined plans for significant investments in wind and solar energy projects. Climate adaptation and resilience. Discussions on climate adaptation focus on helping vulnerable communities adapt to the impacts of climate change. Funding pledges were made to support infrastructure development, disaster preparedness, and climate resilient agriculture practices in developing nations. The European Union pledged an additional $500 million to Green Climate Fund to assist developing countries in their climate resilience effort. In the closing session, world leaders expressed optimism about the progress made during the summit, but acknowledged that much more needs to be done. The need for international collaboration, financial support, and technological innovation were emphasized as critical factors for achieving the goals of of the Paris Agreement. The United Nations announced that the next climate change summit scheduled for 2024 would focus on reviewing progress and raising ambitions further. As the climate change summit comes to a close, the global community stands at a crucial juncture in the fight against climate change. With commitments and renewed efforts, world leaders and activists have sent a strong message of determination to address this existential crisis. The success of these commitments will depend on sustained action, collaboration, and the involvement of all sectors of society in working towards a sustainable and resilient future. Well, as you can see, so this is the article. We are going to identify the parts. The first one is the heading. So this is the heading, Climate Change Summit. And then we have the introduction, the introductory paragraph. This first part is the introductory paragraph. The next four paragraphs, excuse me, one, two, three, and four, they are part of the body of the article and of the story, of the news story. And the last one is the conclusion of the news story. That's all, right? As you can see, it follows specific pattern, and we were doing this. Well, let's go back to stuff. Now, number 5, providing a newsworthy stories. Okay, if you are trying to create newsworthy stories, for example, stories that are current, interesting to readers, or will impact readers' lives, you gotta make issues seem fresh and unique. So these are examples of possible or feasible topics to be developing a new story. An annual anniversary story, a breakout, yes, something that impacts the whole world. A celebrity supported story or event. Yeah, there is a news story. There is a story about a celebrity, something good or something bad that has happened to a person that is a celebrity. A controversial topic, a topic that raises arguments in favor or arguments against. An uncovered injustice, something that, well, has made someone guilty and has made someone not being punished adequately. An ironic account, a local interest, a milestone, something that is very important in the history of the human being, a human entrance story, or a seasonal story, something that is related to fashion, yeah, or a topic that is in fashion at the moment. So these are possible topics you can be talking about, you can be writing about or talking about. Okay, and this is the practice. Okay, so we have an exercise here. You are meant to be doing an exercise. So first, you choose a topic to create your story. So you think about a topic following the news reporting process previously discussed. So don't forget, you have to think about a heading, uh, an introductory paragraph, body paragraphs, and a conclusion, right? You have 10 minutes to conduct your research, write your stories, and practice editing and fact checking. So you were meant to be working on developing a new stories, and then you are to present your new story to the class. This is what I had prepared my dear students for you to come up with. And this is a practical exercise. You were meant to be working on this, preparing both reading and to speak about that and to write about that. But unfortunately, I didn't have any students to work on it, right? And this is all for now. I just want to thank you for watching this. And if you have any question, do not hesitate in writing to me. Okay. Thank you very much. Have a very, very, very good weekend. Goodbye.